Hey guys, it's me, it's Queen Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Okay, so I got a question about the elements. Gentleman asked me to explain the elements. So let me talk a little bit about this. In astrology, Western astrology, and in tarot, we use four main elements: earth, air, fire, and water. And sometimes you'll hear spirit referred to as the fifth element. But for our purposes today, we're going to use the four that we use in astrology: earth, air, fire, and water. Good. All right. Now, I'm going to tell you which one is which. If you are an Aquarius, a Libra, or a Gemini, you are an air sign. Your element is air. If you are a Pisces, a Cancer, or a Scorpio, your element is water. If you are a Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, your element is fire. And if you're a Virgo, a Taurus, or a Capricorn, your element is earth. Okay? So how do the elements get along? They get along exactly the same way they get along on the planet. Think about how elements get along on the planet, okay? So let's take this example with air. Air goes best with other air signs. Air works best with air. Because think about air and air is just going to be wind. You know, it's going to be harmonious. It's going to fly off together. It's going to do its thing, you know? When you put air with air, fire with fire, water with water, earth with earth, you're going to do best primarily with the same element as you. So an Aquarius with a Libra, an Aquarius with a Gemini, an Aquarius who is with, and another Aquarius. That's another good one. So the air goes with the air. That's going to be the most harmonious vibration. But it also does depend on what's going on in your chart, because I've seen people who are an air sign, for example, but the rest of their chart is all water, you know? So some of the times this can be kind of tricky. That's why you have to look at somebody's individual chart. But for today's purposes, we're just talking in general. So in general, you're going to put air signs with air signs, earth signs with earth signs, water signs with water signs, and fire signs with fire signs, okay? The next harmonious combination would be air and fire. You put air with fire because these two go pretty well together, you know. The next one you would use is air with water because there is oxygen in water. And lastly, you put air with earth. Now, if you think about it, I said the elements get along how they do on the earth. Earth pretty much ignores air. That's why every time I've been with the earth sign, things were kind of weird, except for the Virgos. But for the other ones, it was kind of strange. And that's because air pretty much ignores earth. The only time that earth really pays much attention, to air and vice versa is a sandstorm, for example. Most of the time, or erosion. Air can erode a mountain or something like that. But most of the time, air is just flying around doing its own thing, not paying attention to earth. So that's why you put these two together last, because the harmonious vibration is the least. Fire. Fire goes with fire first. Fire goes with air next. Then we will put fire with earth, because for fire, its nemesis is going to be water, because what? Water puts out fire. And fire boils water to the point of evaporation if you leave it on the stove too long. So like I said before, whenever you think about the elements, think about how they work on the planet, okay? Water. You put water with water first. The next thing you put water with is earth. Think about whenever you see a body of water, what is it surrounded by? Earth. Earth is what encapsulates it. Earth is what is around it. So that would be the very next thing, okay? Then again, like I said before when dealing with this, the next thing would be air for water. And lastly, like I said before, is fire. Because again, fire and water don't really mix very well at all. They don't really mix at all. So that one. Then you have earth. Of course, earth goes with earth first. Earth goes with water secondly. And then third, we will put earth with fire. And last, we will put earth with air. Fire and air are definitely going to be the worst ones dealing with Earth, because those are the two that they, have the least to deal with. Fire destroys Earth. It utterly destroys it. And of course, air ignores it. So those two are going to be the worst ones. Likewise, when you deal with fire and the earth, the one good thing about it is that when you scorch the earth with fire, it does replenish it. So the aftermath of dealing with the fire is what's really going to make the earth actually better. So that's the way that we break them down. So when you look at your circle of friends, you can look at them and see who's air, who's fire, who's water, who's earth. You can see in your circle of friends. So generally speaking, you're going to get along with the ones who are in your element first, and then so forth and so on. For me, I love Libras. I love my Libras, and that's always been the case. But again, they're an air sign. So air and air go perfectly together. We can vibe very well. My longest relationships have been with Libras because we vibe very well. Okay? So that's how the elements work. Just think about it exactly the same way. The next time you talk to your friend, and you know their sign, think about what element they are, and then think about how the two of you get along. Do they set you off? Do they set you to boil? Do they put out your flames? Do they always dampen your ideas and dampen your inspirations and your motivations? Different signs get along in different ways. Think about I'll give you another example of earth and fire. Okay, so let's say Taurus and let's say Leo. Okay, Taurus and Leo often have difficult relationships because what happens? The Taurus is earth, the Leo is fire. So the Leo is burning the earth, scorching it, like I said before. And the earth, when thrown on fire, puts it out. So these two really cancel each other out in a lot of different ways. So these two have a really difficult time being able to make it. One of my favorite examples of the elements is Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston. Bobby Brown is Aquarius, air sign. Whitney Houston, Leo, fire sign. Now, this combination I told you was the secondary combination. But when you look at them, look at how explosive the energy is. So what's happening here? The air is fanning the flames of the Leo. And when you fan flames, what happens? They ignite. Okay? Now, that can be positive or it can be negative. It can be a passionate, intense relationship, or it can be in a relationship where you're constantly fighting each other, or it can be a combination of both. And if you think about their relationship, you saw a lot of that in their relationship. So as you go through your day, your day to day, and you're asking people about their elements and about their signs, look at that and look at the way that they get along. It has a lot to do with that. Now, remember I said earlier that your whole chart does come into play? Like, for example, with me, my chart is all air and fire. So predominantly that's my makeup. My sun is in Aquarius. My moon is in Sag, and my rising sign is in Aquarius. And then when you look at the rest of my chart, it's all fire and air. I think I have one earth and one water. Everything else is fire or air. So this kind of a person, is going to be very intense and very fiery, And when I come across another person, the kind of person that would be best for me would be somebody who's also air and fire, or air or fire predominantly. If I get with somebody who is, let's say, earth and water, it's going to be very turbulent. Okay, so that's how the elements work. The elements work exactly how they work on the planet. So when you sit down and play with these combinations, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so I hope that helps you to think about your circles of friends and who you are around and kind of play with the energy like that. Okay, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to anybody else who might want to listen to this talk about the elements. If you would like to give a love donation, I'll leave my PayPal. If you would like to get a reading done, I will leave my email. If you would like to ask your own free question, a general question, I will also leave my email for that as well. And I also will leave my social media in case you want to hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. Okay, guys? See you later.